The black Mercedes pulled up in front of Maya's small apartment building at exactly 7 a.m. Maya pressed her face against the window, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped out, carrying a leather briefcase. He looked up at her building, checked something on his phone, and started walking toward her door. "Mom!" Maya called out, her voice shaking. "There's someone coming." Her mother, Diana, rushed to the window, still wearing her waitress uniform from the night shift. Her eyes went wide when she saw the Mercedes. "Who is that?" "Maya, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything," Maya insisted, but her mind raced back to yesterday evening. The old man, the busy intersection, the way he'd looked at her with those kind, tired eyes. Had she done something wrong? Was she in trouble? The doorbell rang, cutting through the morning silence like a knife. Maya and her mother stood frozen, staring at each other. The doorbell rang again, more insistent this time. "I'll get it," Diana said, smoothing down her uniform and walking toward the door. Maya followed close behind, her bare feet cold against the wooden floor. Diana opened the door slowly. The man in the suit smiled politely. "Good morning. I'm looking for Maya Johnson. Is she home?" "I'm her mother," Diana said, her voice protective. "What is this about?" "My name is Marcus Webb. I work for someone who would very much like to speak with your daughter. It's about something that happened yesterday evening." Maya felt her stomach drop. She stepped forward. "I'm Maya." Marcus looked at her, and his smile grew wider. "Miss Johnson, my employer sent me to find you. What you did yesterday was extraordinary, and he'd like to thank you personally. He's waiting in the car. Would you and your mother be willing to come outside for just a moment?" Maya and Diana exchanged confused glances. "Who is your employer?" Diana asked carefully. "I think it's better if he introduces himself," Marcus said. "I promise you this is a good thing, a very good thing." But before either of them could respond, before they could even process what was happening, Marcus's phone rang. He glanced at it and his face went pale. "Excuse me," he said urgently, pressing the phone to his ear. "Yes, sir? What? When? Oh no. Yes, sir. I'll be right there." He looked at Maya and Diana, his expression now serious, almost frightened. "I'm sorry, but there's been an emergency. I have to go immediately. But please, I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. This is important. More important than you could possibly imagine." He turned and rushed back to the Mercedes, leaving Maya and Diana standing in the doorway, more confused than ever. "Now let me take you back to where this all started, 24 hours earlier, on an ordinary Wednesday afternoon that would change everything. We share powerful stories that uncover hidden truths and challenge perspectives. Subscribe to stay updated, share to keep others safe, and comment where you're watching from. Maya Johnson was 14 years old, with dark braided hair that her mother spent 2 hours every Sunday making perfect. She lived with her mom in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of Springfield, in a neighborhood where people knew each other's names and looked out for one another. Their building was old, with creaky stairs and walls so thin you could hear Mrs. Peterson's television through the floor. But it was home. Money was always tight. Diana worked double shifts at Romano's Diner downtown, serving coffee and burgers to businesspeople and tourists, coming home with aching feet and a tired smile. She never complained, though. Not once. She always told Maya, "We might not have everything, baby, but we have each other, and we have our dignity. That's worth more than gold." Maya went to Lincoln Middle School, a 15-minute walk from their apartment. She was a good student, quiet and thoughtful, the kind of girl who always had her nose in a book during lunch. She didn't have the fancy phones or designer clothes that some of the other kids had, but she never let it bother her. Her mother had taught her that a person's worth wasn't measured by what they owned, but by how they treated others. On that Wednesday afternoon, Maya was walking home from school, her backpack heavy with textbooks. The September sun was still warm, and the streets were busy with people heading home from work. She took her usual route, down Maple Street, past the grocery store where Mr. Chun always waved at her through the window, and toward the big intersection at Fifth Avenue. That's where she saw him, An elderly man stood at the edge of the crosswalk, looking confused and uncertain. He must have been in his 70s, Maya guessed, with white hair and deep wrinkles around his eyes. He wore a simple gray cardigan and brown pants, and he was leaning heavily on a wooden cane. But what caught Maya's attention was the look on his face. He seemed lost, maybe even scared, as cars rushed past him in both directions. The intersection was one of the busiest in Springfield. 5 lanes of traffic, cars honking, people rushing. The traffic light changed from green to yellow to red, but the old man didn't move. He just stood there watching the cars with worried eyes. Maya slowed down. She could have kept walking. Most people did. In a big city, you learn not to see everything, not to get involved. But something in her mother's voice echoed in her mind. Always help when you can, Maya. You never know when you might need help yourself. She walked up to the old man. Excuse me, sir? Do you need help crossing the street? He turned to look at her, and Maya saw relief flood his face. Oh, yes, thank you. I'm sorry to be a bother. I'm not moving as fast as I used to, and these cars, they don't slow down for anyone. It's no bother at all, Maya said with a warm smile. Here, you can hold my arm. The old man gratefully took her arm, and together they waited for the light to change. When it did, they started across, but the old man moved slowly, his cane tapping against the pavement with each careful step. Halfway across, the countdown timer started blinking. 10 seconds. 9, 8. We need to hurry a little, Maya said gently, but she could feel the old man struggling. His breathing was labored, and he was leaning on her more heavily now. 7, 6, 5. A car in the turning lane revved its engine impatiently. The driver honked. Maya's heart raced, but she kept her voice calm. We're almost there, sir. You're doing great. 4, 3, 2. They made it to the other side just as the light changed. The car that had honked sped past them, so close that Maya felt the rush of wind. Her legs were shaking, but she kept smiling for the old man's sake. Thank you, he said, breathing hard. Thank you so much, young lady. You have a kind heart. Are you okay? Maya asked, concerned. Do you need to sit down? No, I'll be fine. I just need to catch my breath. He looked at her more closely now, really studying her face. What's your name, child? Maya. Maya Johnson. Maya, he repeated as if memorizing it. That's a beautiful name. Tell me, Maya, where do you live? Where are you going? Maya hesitated. Her mother had always taught her not to give personal information to strangers. But this old man seemed so kind, so harmless. I live near here. I was just heading home from school. You're a good girl, he said. Your parents raised you right. Not many young people would stop to help an old man these days. Most people are too busy, too wrapped up in their own lives. My mom always says we should help others when we can, Maya said. The old man smiled, and there was something sad in that smile, something that made Maya's heart ache a little. Your mother is a wise woman. You hold on to those values, Maya. In this world, kindness is becoming rare, but it's also the most powerful thing we have. They talked for a few more minutes. The old man told her his name was William, and that he'd lived in Springfield his whole life. He'd been a teacher once, he said, at a high school across town. He told her about his late wife, Margaret, who had passed away 2 years ago, and how lonely the city could feel without her. Maya listened patiently, even though she knew her mother would be expecting her home soon. There was something about William that touched her heart. He reminded her of her grandfather, who had died when she was little. She remembered how kind he'd been, how he'd always had time to listen to her stories. Finally, William patted her hand. I've kept you long enough. You should get home before your mother worries. But thank you, Maya. Thank you for your kindness. You've made an old man's day brighter. You're welcome, Mr. William. Will you be okay getting to where you need to go? Oh yes, I only live a block from here. I'll be fine now. Maya said goodbye and continued her walk home, thinking about William and hoping he made it home safely. She had no idea that their brief encounter would change everything. She had no idea that William wasn't just a retired teacher. She had no idea that the expensive watch hidden under his cardigan sleeve, or the fact that he'd been walking instead of being driven by his usual chauffeur, meant anything significant. She had no idea who William really was. When Maya got home that afternoon, her mother was getting ready for her evening shift. "How was school, baby?" Diana asked, pulling on her work shoes. "It was good," Maya said, dropping her backpack by the door. "I helped an old man cross the street on my way home." Diana paused and looked at her daughter with pride. "Did you? That's my girl. What was he like?" "Nice. His name was William. He was a teacher and his wife died. He seemed lonely." "Well, I'm sure you made his day better," Diana said, kissing Maya's forehead. "There's leftover chicken in the fridge for dinner. I'll be home late, so make sure you do your homework and lock the door. Love you." "Love you too, Mom." That night, Maya did her homework, ate dinner, and went to bed, thinking nothing more of the encounter. It was just another day, just another small act of kindness in a world that often felt too big and too rushed. But across town, in a penthouse apartment overlooking the city, William sat in his study, staring at a piece of paper where he'd written a single name, Maya Johnson. Next to him, Marcus Webb stood waiting for instructions. "Sir, are you sure about this?" "More sure than I've been about anything in years," William said quietly. "Find her, Marcus. Find her and her family. I want to know everything. Where they live, what they need, what their struggles are. And then I want you to bring me to them." "Yes, sir. I'll start first thing in the morning." William nodded, but he didn't look up from the paper. He was thinking about the young girl who'd stopped to help him when no one else would. He was thinking about her kind eyes and patient voice. He was thinking about how, in all his years and all his wealth, he'd forgotten what it felt like to be treated like a human being instead of a bank account. He was thinking about Margaret and what she would say if she were still alive. She'd always believed that people showed their true character in small moments, not big ones. She'd always said that the measure of a person wasn't what they did when everyone was watching, but what they did when no one was. Maya Johnson had no idea that she'd passed a test she didn't know she was taking. The next morning, Thursday, started like any other. Maya's alarm went off at 6:30. She got up, brushed her teeth, and got dressed in her school uniform. A white shirt and navy blue pants that were starting to get a little too short for her growing legs. Her mother had already left for the morning shift at the diner, leaving a note on the kitchen table. "Have a great day, sweetheart. Lunch money in the usual spot. Love you to the moon." Maya smiled, pocketed the $5 her mother left for lunch, and grabbed a granola bar for breakfast. She was just gathering her school books when she heard the sound of an expensive car engine outside. Living where she did, that sound was unusual. Most people in her neighborhood drove old Hondas or Toyotas, cars that had seen better days but still ran. Curious, she went to the window and peeked through the curtain. That's when she saw the black Mercedes and the man in the suit getting out. Her heart started to pound. Could it be about yesterday? About William? But why would helping an old man cross the street result in a man in an expensive car showing up at her door? And that's when Marcus Webb rang the doorbell, setting in motion a morning that would turn Maya's entire world upside down. After Marcus left so suddenly, Maya and Diana stood in the doorway for a long moment, neither speaking. Finally, Diana closed the door and turned to her daughter. "What was that about, Maya? What did you do yesterday?" Maya told her mother the whole story again, in more detail this time. About William, about crossing the street, about their conversation. Diana listened carefully, her brow furrowed. "That's it? You just helped him cross the street?" "That's it, I swear." "Then why would someone show up in a car like that looking for you?" "Maya, this doesn't make sense. And why did he leave so suddenly? What kind of emergency?" "I don't know, Mom. But he said he'd come back." Diana checked her watch. "I need to call the diner. I should have been there 20 minutes ago. But I don't want to leave you alone if something strange is going on." "I'm fine, Mom. Really. Go to work. We need the money." Diana hesitated, torn between responsibility and concern. Finally, she grabbed her purse. "Okay. But you call me if anything else weird happens. Anything at all. And do not open the door for anyone. You understand?" "I understand." After her mother left, Maya tried to focus on getting ready for school, but her mind kept wandering back to Marcus Webb and his mysterious employer. Who was this person? What did they want? And what emergency had pulled Marcus away so urgently? She was just about to leave for school when her phone buzzed. It was a text from her best friend, Ashley. OMG, did you see the news? Turn on Channel 7. Maya frowned and turned on their old television, switching to Channel 7. A news anchor was speaking urgently, and the headline at the bottom of the screen made Maya's blood run cold. Billionaire philanthropist William Bradshaw rushed to hospital after heart attack. The screen showed footage of an ambulance outside a luxury apartment building, and then a photograph appeared. Maya gasped. It was him, William, the old man she'd helped yesterday. But he wasn't just William. He was William Bradshaw, founder and CEO of Bradshaw Industries, one of the richest men in the country, worth over $3 billion. And this morning, just as Marcus Webb had been coming to find Maya, William had suffered a massive heart attack. He was now in critical condition at Springfield General Hospital, and doctors said the next 24 hours would determine if he survived. Maya sat down hard on the couch, her legs suddenly weak. The old man she'd helped cross the street wasn't just any old man. He was one of the most powerful people in the entire state. And now he was fighting for his life. Maya's hands trembled as she held the TV remote, unable to look away from the screen. The news anchor continued speaking, her voice serious and measured. William Bradshaw, aged 73, was found unconscious in his penthouse apartment early this morning by his personal assistant. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but sources say his condition is grave. Bradshaw, who lost his wife Margaret 2 years ago, has no children or close family members. His entire fortune, estimated at $3.2 billion, is currently managed by a team of lawyers and financial advisors. The screen switched to show footage of William from happier times. There he was at charity events, cutting ribbons at hospital openings, shaking hands with mayors and governors. He looked different in those pictures, younger somehow, more alive. Not like the tired, lonely old man Maya had met at the crosswalk. Maya turned off the television and sat in silence. Her mind was spinning. Yesterday, she'd helped a billionaire cross the street, and she hadn't even known it. He'd been so normal, so ordinary in his gray cardigan and brown pants. There had been no bodyguards, no fancy cars, nothing to suggest he was anyone special. Why had he been alone? Why hadn't someone been with him to help him cross that busy street? And then another thought hit her, this one making her feel sick to her stomach. What if the walk yesterday had been too much for him? What if helping him cross the street had somehow caused the heart attack? What if she'd hurt him instead of helping him? No, she whispered to herself. That's not possible. He seemed fine when we said goodbye. He was smiling, but doubt gnawed at her. She grabbed her phone and called her mother. Diana answered on the second ring. Maya, what's wrong? You sound upset. Mom, the old man I helped yesterday, his name wasn't just William. It was William Bradshaw, the billionaire, and he had a heart attack this morning. That's why that man Marcus had to leave so suddenly. There was a long pause on the other end. What? Maya, are you sure? I just saw it on the news. It's him, Mom. I'm sure of it. The same face, the same everything. Oh my God. Diana breathed. That explains the Mercedes and the suit. Baby, this is serious. Very serious. What do I do? Maya asked, hearing the fear in her own voice. Nothing. You do nothing. You go to school like normal. Whatever Marcus Webb wanted to talk to you about, it can wait. Right now, that poor man is fighting for his life, and that's what matters. We'll deal with everything else later. But Mom, what if? What if nothing, Maya? You helped someone who needed help. That's all. You didn't do anything wrong. Now go to school. I'll see you tonight. After they hung up, Maya grabbed her backpack and headed out. But she couldn't focus on anything. Her walk to school felt dreamlike, unreal. Every person she passed on the street seemed to be talking about William Bradshaw. She heard his name coming from car radios, saw it on phone screens, watched people shaking their heads sadly as they discussed his condition. At school, it was even worse. Everyone was talking about it. William Bradshaw was a local legend in Springfield, someone who'd built his company from nothing and never forgot where he came from. He'd donated millions to schools, hospitals, and community centers. Lincoln Middle School had an entire computer lab funded by Bradshaw Industries. "I heard he might not make it," Ashley whispered to Maya during lunch. "My dad said if William Bradshaw dies, it'll be huge. Like, national news huge. He's given away so much money over the years. He's basically a hero." Maya picked at her cafeteria pizza, her appetite gone. "Yeah," she mumbled. "You okay?" Ashley asked. "You've been weird all day." Maya wanted to tell her friend everything, but something held her back. Felt too big, too strange. "Just tired," she said instead. If you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps us motivated and reminds us that our stories are making a difference in people's lives. The rest of the school day dragged by in slow motion. Maya sat through math class without hearing a single word the teacher said. In English, she stared at the same page of her book for 30 minutes without reading it. Her mind was stuck on William's kind face, on his sad smile when he talked about his late wife, on the way he'd squeezed her hand and thanked her for her kindness. Please don't die, she thought. Please be okay. When school finally ended, Maya walked home the long way, avoiding the intersection where she'd met William. She couldn't bear to look at that spot right now. When she got home, the apartment felt emptier than usual. Her mother wouldn't be back for hours, and the silence pressed down on Maya like a physical weight. She turned on the television again, hoping for news, for any update on William's condition. The same stories played over and over. Critical condition, touch and go. Next 24 hours are crucial. She watched for 2 hours, learning nothing new. At 7 o'clock, her mother came home, looking exhausted. "Any news?" Diana asked immediately. Maya shook her head. "Nothing new. Still critical." Diana sat down next to her daughter and pulled her close. "Baby, I know you're worried, but you need to understand something. What happened to Mr. Bradshaw isn't your fault. Heart attacks happen. They're medical events. You didn't cause this. But what if the walk was too much for him? What if—" "Stop," Diana said firmly. "You showed kindness to someone who needed help. That's all. Whatever happens now is in God's hands, not yours." They sat together in silence, watching the news until Diana finally turned off the TV. "Come on, let's have dinner. You need to eat something." Maya forced down some soup and bread, but everything tasted like cardboard. After dinner, she tried to do her homework, but the words on the page might as well have been in a foreign language. Finally, she gave up and went to bed early, hoping that sleep would provide an escape from the worry eating away at her. But sleep didn't come easily. Maya lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about William Bradshaw alone in a hospital room somewhere, machines beeping around him, fighting for every breath. She thought about Marcus Webb and his mysterious visit that morning. What had he wanted to tell her? What had William wanted to say? Now she might never know. The thought made her chest ache. Somewhere around midnight, Maya finally drifted off into an uneasy sleep filled with strange dreams. In them, she was trying to cross that intersection again and again, but she could never quite make it to the other side. The countdown timer kept resetting. The cars kept rushing past, and William kept saying, "Thank you, Maya. Thank you for your kindness." When her alarm went off Friday morning, Maya woke up feeling like she hadn't slept at all. Her eyes were puffy, and her head ached. She dragged herself out of bed and got dressed slowly, dreading another day of worry and waiting. Her mother had already left for work again, but there was a note. "Be strong, baby. Have faith." Maya was eating breakfast when her phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart jumped. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello. Is this Maya Johnson?" It was Marcus Webb's voice, and he sounded tired, strained. "Yes, this is Maya. Miss Johnson, this is Marcus Webb. We met yesterday morning before I had to leave suddenly. I apologize for that. I'm calling because Mr. Bradshaw regained consciousness an hour ago." Maya felt tears spring to her eyes. "He did? He's going to be okay." The doctors are cautiously optimistic. "He's weak, very weak, but he's awake and talking. And Miss Johnson, the first thing he asked about, the very first thing, was you. Maya's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. He asked about me? Yes, Marcus said, and she could hear something like wonder in his voice. The moment he opened his eyes, before he even asked where he was or what had happened, he said your name. He wanted to know if we'd found you, if you were safe, if we'd spoken to you yet. Maya didn't know what to say. Her throat felt tight, and tears were rolling down her cheeks now. I saw the news. I was so scared he was going to die. We all were, Marcus admitted quietly. It was very close, Miss Johnson. Very close. But he's a fighter, and the doctors say he's stabilizing. However, he's insisting on seeing you. Today, if possible. I know this is a lot to ask, and I know you have school, but would you be willing to come to the hospital? I can send a car for you. Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I need to ask my mother. Of course. I can speak with her if that would help. This is important to Mr. Bradshaw, more important than I can explain right now. He said he has something he needs to tell you. Something that can't wait. Okay. Let me call her right now. Can I call you back at this number? Yes, please do. And Miss Johnson, thank you. What you did for him that day, helping him cross that street, treating him with such kindness when he was alone and vulnerable. It meant more to him than you could possibly know. After they hung up, Maya immediately called her mother at the diner. Diana answered quickly, concern in her voice. Maya, what's wrong? You should be getting ready for school. Mom, he woke up. Mr. Bradshaw woke up and he's asking to see me. That man Marcus just called. He wants to send a car to take me to the hospital today. There was a long pause. Maya could hear the clatter of dishes and voices in the background at the diner. He's asking for you specifically? Yes. Marcus said it was the first thing he asked about when he woke up. Mom, I think I should go. I think I need to go. Another pause, longer this time. Okay, Diana said finally. Okay, baby, you can go. But I'm coming with you. Tell Marcus to pick us both up. I'll call my boss right now and tell him I need the day off. This is too important and too strange for you to go alone. Relief flooded through Maya. Thank you, Mom. Give me Marcus's number. I'll call him and arrange everything. You just get dressed and wait for me to come home. 20 minutes later, Diana burst through the apartment door, still wearing her diner uniform. She'd clearly run the whole way home. Her face was flushed, and she was breathing hard. Okay, Marcus is sending the car in 30 minutes. I need to change quickly. Are you ready? Maya nodded. She'd put on her nicest outfit, a blue dress her mother had bought her for church. It was simple but clean and respectable. She'd even tried to do something nice with her braids, pulling them back with a clip. Diana disappeared into her bedroom and emerged 5 minutes later wearing a simple black dress and the pearl earrings her own mother had given her years ago. How do I look? She asked nervously. Beautiful, Mom. You look beautiful too, baby. Now listen to me. When we get there, you let me do most of the talking, okay? We don't know what this man wants, and I need to make sure everything is appropriate. Whatever happens, whatever he says, we stay polite and respectful, but we don't make any promises or agree to anything without thinking it through first. Understood. Understood. They waited by the window watching the street. At exactly 9:30, the black Mercedes pulled up in front of their building. Marcus Webb stepped out, looking more composed than he had during his rushed visit the day before. He was wearing a different suit, dark blue this time, and he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone used to handling important matters. Diana squeezed Maya's hand. Ready. Ready. They went downstairs together, and Marcus greeted them with a respectful nod. Mrs. Johnson, Maya, thank you for coming on such short notice. Please, come with me. The inside of the Mercedes was like nothing Maya had ever seen. The seats were soft leather, and there was enough legroom for someone twice her height. It even smelled expensive, like new shoes and wood polish. Marcus sat in the front with the driver, a silent man in a dark suit, while Maya and Diana sat in the back. As they drove through the city toward Springfield General Hospital, Marcus turned slightly to talk to them. I want to prepare you both for what you're going to see. Mr. Bradshaw is awake and speaking, but he's very weak. He's hooked up to several monitors, and there will be nurses checking on him frequently. He tires easily, so the doctors have asked that we keep the visit short, no more than 15 or 20 minutes. What exactly does he want to talk to Maya about? Diana asked, her voice carrying the protective edge of a mother bear. Marcus hesitated. I think that's something Mr. Bradshaw should explain himself. But I can tell you this, Mrs. Johnson. In all the years I've worked for him, and it's been 12 years now, I've never seen him as moved by anything as he was by your daughter's simple act of kindness. He's a man who has everything money can buy, but what Maya gave him that day wasn't something you can purchase. They pulled into the hospital parking garage, and Marcus led them through a private entrance Maya hadn't even known existed. They took an elevator to the top floor, where the hallways were quieter and the rooms were larger. 2 security guards stood outside one of the rooms, and they nodded at Marcus as the group approached. He's expecting us, Marcus said to the guards, then turned to Maya and Diana. Ready. Maya's mouth was dry, but she nodded. Diana kept a firm grip on her daughter's hand as Marcus opened the door and ushered them inside. The room was large and filled with medical equipment. Machines beeped softly, monitoring heart rate and blood pressure and things Maya didn't understand. The morning sun streamed through the window, making everything look almost peaceful despite the seriousness of the situation. And there, in the hospital bed, propped up on pillows and looking small and fragile in a way he hadn't looked at the crosswalk, was William Bradshaw. His face was pale, and there were dark circles under his eyes. And 4 lines ran into his arm, and monitors were attached to his chest. But when he saw Maya, his face transformed. His eyes, which had looked tired and dim, suddenly brightened with recognition and something else. Something that looked almost like relief. Maya, he said, his voice rough and weak but unmistakably warm. You came. Thank God you came. Maya felt her mother's hand tighten around her own, but she stepped forward slightly. Hello, Mr. Bradshaw. I'm really glad you're okay. I was so worried when I heard about your heart attack. William smiled, and it was the same sad, kind smile she remembered from the crosswalk. Please call me William. Mr. Bradshaw makes me feel old. He paused, catching his breath. Even talking seemed to take effort. And I'm the one who should be thanking you. You saved my life, child. I just helped you cross the street, Maya said softly. That's all. No, William said, shaking his head slightly. No, you did much more than that. You reminded me of something I'd forgotten. You reminded me that kindness still exists in this world, that there are still people who help strangers without expecting anything in return. He looked at Diana now, really seeing her for the first time. You must be Maya's mother. She has your eyes. You've raised a remarkable daughter, Mrs. Johnson. Thank you, Diana said carefully. But Mr. Bradshaw, I don't understand. Why did you ask to see Maya? What is this really about? William took a deep breath, wincing slightly at the effort. A nurse who'd been standing quietly in the corner stepped forward, concerned, but he waved her away gently. I'm fine, Susan. Just give me a moment. He turned his attention back to Maya and Diana, and when he spoke again, his voice was stronger, more determined. What I'm about to tell you is going to sound strange. You might not believe me at first, and that's okay. But I need you to hear me out. Maya felt her mother tense beside her. We're listening, Diana said. William's eyes locked onto Maya's, intense and serious despite his weakened state. The day you helped me cross that street, I wasn't just taking a walk. I was testing something. Testing people. Testing humanity, if you will. Maya felt confusion wash over her. Testing people? I don't understand. William shifted slightly in his bed, and the nurse named Susan immediately moved closer, adjusting his pillows to make him more comfortable. He nodded his thanks to her before continuing. For the past 6 months, since I turned 73, I've been doing something unusual. Every Wednesday afternoon, I've been leaving my penthouse alone, dressed in ordinary clothes, and walking through different neighborhoods in Springfield. No bodyguards, no assistants, no one who could identify me as William Bradshaw the billionaire. Just me, an old man with a cane, testing to see if anyone would help. Diana's hand tightened around Maya's. Why would you do that? Because I needed to know, William said, his voice growing softer. I needed to know if kindness still existed, if people still helped strangers without knowing who they were or what they might gain from it. You see, when you have money like I do, you never know if people are being kind to you or kind to your bank account. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. I've become cynical over the years, bitter even. My wife Margaret used to tell me I was wrong, that good people still existed, but after she died, I stopped believing it. He paused to catch his breath, and Susan brought him a cup of water with a straw. He took a small sip before continuing. So I decided to test it. Every Wednesday for 6 months, I walked through different parts of the city, deliberately putting myself in situations where I needed help, crossing busy streets, carrying heavy bags, pretending to be lost. And do you know what happened? Maya shook her head, unable to speak. Nothing, William said, and there was deep sadness in his voice. For 6 months, nothing. People walked past me. They avoided eye contact. Some even seemed annoyed that I was moving too slowly on the sidewalk. Week after week, I tested humanity, and week after week, humanity failed. I started to believe that Margaret had been wrong, that kindness really was dead in this world. He looked directly at Maya now, and his eyes were shining with unshed tears. And then I met you, a 14-year-old girl with a heavy backpack and a long walk home, who stopped without hesitation to help an old man she'd never met. You didn't know who I was. You had nothing to gain. You just helped because it was the right thing to do. You stayed patient with me even when I was slow. You made sure I was safe. You talked with me like I was a person, not a burden. You reminded me that my Margaret was right all along. Maya felt tears rolling down her own cheeks now. I just did what my mom taught me. She always says we should help others when we can. William looked at Diana with deep respect. Then you are a wise woman, Mrs. Johnson, and your daughter is proof of your wisdom. Diana's voice was thick with emotion when she spoke. Mr. Bradshaw, this is all very touching, but I still don't understand why you asked to see us. Why was it so important that you see Maya the moment you woke up? William took another careful breath. Because during my heart attack, when I thought I was dying, all I could think about was Maya and her kindness. I realized that I couldn't leave this world without doing something meaningful for the one person who'd restored my faith in humanity. I have no children, no close family. I've spent my life building a fortune. But what good is all that money if it doesn't honor the things that truly matter? Kindness, compassion, human decency. He reached out a trembling hand toward the nightstand beside his bed. Marcus immediately stepped forward and retrieved what William was reaching for. A manila folder. William took it with shaking hands and held it out toward Diana. This is for you and Maya. Please, open it. Diana hesitated, looking at the folder like it might bite her. Then slowly, she took it and opened it. Maya watched her mother's face go from confused to shocked to completely stunned. Diana's hands started shaking so badly that papers nearly slipped from the folder. What is it, Mom? Maya asked urgently. Diana couldn't speak. She just stared at the papers in her hands, her mouth opening and closing without sound. Finally, Marcus spoke gently. It's a trust fund, Miss Johnson. Mr. Bradshaw has established a trust fund in your name, worth $500,000. It's for your education to be used for college, graduate school, whatever you choose to study. The remainder, after educational expenses, will be released to you when you turn 25. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Maya grabbed her mother's arm to steady herself. $500,000? She whispered. That can't be real. It's very real, William said. And that's not all. Mrs. Johnson, that folder also contains a letter offering you a management position at Bradshaw Industries. Your daughter spoke about how hard you work, and I've had Marcus look into your employment history. You've been working double shifts at Romano's Diner for 7 years. Never missing a day, always reliable, always professional. That kind of dedication deserves recognition. The position comes with a salary of $90,000 per year, full health benefits, and a retirement plan. Diana finally found her voice, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. "This can't be happening. Things like this don't happen to people like us." "They do now," William said firmly. "But please understand, this isn't charity. I'm not trying to buy your daughter's kindness or make her feel obligated to me. This is about honoring what she represents. In a world that's becoming harder and colder every day, Maya showed me that goodness still exists. I want to invest in that goodness, to nurture it, to make sure that kind, compassionate people like your daughter don't get lost or broken by the struggles of life." Maya couldn't process what was happening. $500,000 for college. Her mother earning $90,000 a year instead of barely scraping by on tips and minimum wage. It was too much, too overwhelming, too impossible. "Mr. Bradshaw," Diana said, her voice stronger now but still shaking with emotion. "This is incredibly generous, but it's too much. We can't accept this. It's not right." "Why not?" William asked. "I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. When I die, and it almost happened 2 days ago, all of it will go to various charities and organizations. Some of it will do good, I'm sure, but most of it will just disappear into administrative costs and executive salaries. This way, I get to see my money make a real difference in the lives of people who actually deserve it. Please, don't deny an old man this happiness." "But we didn't do anything to deserve this," Diana insisted. "Maya just helped you cross the street. That's basic human decency, not something worth $500,000. "That's exactly why it's worth $500,000, William said, his voice growing passionate despite his weakness. "Because you see it as basic human decency, not as an opportunity for profit. Because your daughter helped me without knowing who I was or what she might get out of it. That kind of integrity is rare, Mrs. Johnson. Rarer than you could possibly imagine." Maya looked at her mother, then at William, then at Marcus, who was watching the scene with a small smile on his face. This couldn't be real life. Just 3 days ago, she'd been worried about her mother's feet hurting from too many shifts at the diner, about whether they could afford new school clothes, about whether the landlord would raise their rent again. And now a billionaire was offering them a life-changing amount of money because Maya had helped him cross the street. "Mom," Maya said quietly, "what do we do?" Before Diana could answer, before anyone could say anything else, the machines connected to William suddenly started beeping urgently. Susan the nurse rushed forward, checking the monitors with practiced efficiency. Her face went pale. "His blood pressure is dropping," she said urgently, reaching for a button on the wall. "I need the doctor in here now." Within seconds, the room was flooded with medical staff. A doctor Maya hadn't seen before pushed past them, shouting orders to the nurses. "Everyone out. Now. We need room to work." Marcus immediately took Diana and Maya by their arms, gently but firmly guiding them toward the door. Maya looked back over her shoulder and saw William reaching out toward her, his mouth moving, trying to say something. But she couldn't hear him over the chaos of medical equipment and urgent voices. "What's happening?" Maya cried as Marcus rushed them into the hallway. "Is he going to be okay?" Marcus's face was tight with worry. "I don't know. His heart is still very weak. The excitement, the talking, it might have been too much for him." Through the open door, before a nurse pulled it shut, Maya caught one last glimpse of William Bradshaw, the man who'd been so full of life just moments ago, talking about kindness and second chances, now looked small and fragile again, surrounded by doctors working frantically to save him. And Maya realized with a sinking feeling in her stomach that she might never get the chance to thank him, never get the chance to tell him that he'd changed her life, never get the chance to say goodbye. Maya, Diana, and Marcus stood frozen in the hallway as the door to William's room clicked shut. Through the small window, Maya could see shadows moving frantically, doctors and nurses working with urgent purpose. The beeping of machines had become a constant, alarming sound that seemed to echo through the entire floor. "Please," Maya whispered, pressing her hands together. "Please let him be okay." Diana pulled her daughter close, wrapping both arms around her. "It's going to be fine, baby. The doctors know what they're doing." But Marcus said nothing. He stood staring at that closed door, his jaw clenched tight, his hands balled into fists at his sides. Maya had only met him twice, but she could see the fear written all over his face. This wasn't just his employer in that room. This was someone he cared about deeply. Minutes crawled by like hours. A nurse rushed past them carrying bags of clear liquid. Another doctor arrived, moving so quickly his white coat flew behind him like a cape. Each new person entering the room made Maya's stomach drop further. How many people did it take to save one man's life? Finally, after what felt like forever but was probably only 10 minutes, the door opened. The main doctor stepped out, pulling off his latex gloves. His expression was serious but not panicked, which Maya took as a good sign. "Mr. Webb," the doctor said, addressing Marcus. "Mr. Bradshaw has stabilized for now." His blood pressure spiked dangerously, and his heart rate became irregular, but we've got him under control again. If you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps us motivated and reminds us that our stories are making a difference in people's lives. Marcus let out a breath he'd been holding. "Can we see him?" The doctor shook his head. "Not right now. He needs complete rest. No visitors, no excitement, nothing that could stress his system. I'm sorry, but whatever business you had with him will need to wait. His recovery has to be our priority." "Of course," Marcus said. "Of course. Thank you, doctor." As the doctor walked away, Marcus turned to Maya and Diana with an apologetic expression. "I'm so sorry. I should never have brought you here so soon after his attack. He insisted, and I thought if it made him happy, if it gave him something positive to focus on, it might help his recovery. But I was wrong. I put him at risk." "This isn't your fault," Diana said firmly. "And it's not ours either. Mr. Bradshaw made his own choice to see us. He's a grown man." Marcus nodded, but Maya could tell he didn't really believe it. He blamed himself. "Let me take you both home. I'll keep you updated on his condition, I promise." The drive back to their apartment was silent and heavy. Maya kept replaying the scene in her mind. William's face lighting up when he saw her. The way his voice had grown strong when he talked about kindness and second chances. The manila folder with papers that promised to change their entire lives. And then the machines beeping, the panic, the door closing. What if he died now? What if their visit had been the thing that killed him? "Stop it," her mother said softly, reading her thoughts. "I can see your mind working, Maya. This is not your fault. Hearts don't work that way. Whatever is happening with Mr. Bradshaw's health, it started before we walked into that room." When they pulled up to their building, Marcus turned around to face them from the front seat. "Mrs. Johnson, Maya, regardless of what happens, the trust fund and the job offer are real. Mr. Bradshaw made sure all the legal paperwork was completed before he even had me contact you. Those documents you're holding are legitimate and binding. His lawyers have copies of everything." Diana clutched the manila folder to her chest. "If something happens to him, if he doesn't make it, are you saying we should still accept this money?" "I'm saying that's what he would want," Marcus replied gently. He was very clear about that. This was about honoring your daughter's kindness, not about creating some ongoing obligation. Whether he recovers or not, he wanted you to have these opportunities. After Marcus drove away, Maya and Diana climbed the stairs to their apartment in silence. Inside, Diana carefully placed the manila folder on their small kitchen table and just stared at it like it might disappear if she looked away. "Mom," Maya said quietly, "what are we going to do?" Diana sat down heavily in one of their mismatched chairs. "I honestly don't know, baby. Part of me wants to tear up these papers and pretend none of this ever happened. It feels wrong, accepting so much for such a small thing." "But it wasn't small to him," Maya said. "You heard what he said. For 6 months, nobody helped him. Nobody. And it made him lose faith in people. Maybe what I did was small to us, but it was everything to him." Diana looked at her daughter with wonder and pride. "When did you get so wise?" "I learned from you," Maya said, sitting down across from her mother. "You always say that small acts of kindness matter. You always say we should help people even when it's hard, even when we're tired, even when we get nothing in return. Well, this time we did get something in return. Something huge. Maybe that's just how the world works sometimes. Maybe good things really do happen to good people." Diana reached across the table and took her daughter's hands. You're right. You're absolutely right. If we don't accept this gift, we're basically saying that what you did wasn't valuable, that kindness doesn't deserve to be rewarded. And that's not the message I want to send to my daughter or to the world. They sat together for a long moment, hands clasped, both thinking about the strange turn their lives had taken. Maya thought about college, about being able to go to any school she wanted without worrying about money. She thought about her mother not having to work double shifts anymore, not coming home with swollen feet and exhausted eyes. She thought about what it would feel like to not worry about rent or food or whether they could afford to fix something when it broke. But mostly, she thought about William Bradshaw lying in that hospital bed, fighting for his life. That evening, Maya couldn't focus on anything. She tried to do homework but read the same paragraph 5 times without understanding it. She tried to watch television but couldn't follow what was happening on screen. Finally, she just sat by the window, watching the street below, jumping every time a car passed, wondering if it might be Marcus coming back with news. Her phone buzzed around 8 o'clock. It was Ashley. Where were you today? You missed school and you never miss school. Are you sick? Maya stared at the text for a long moment before typing back. Family emergency. I'm okay. I'll explain tomorrow. But how could she possibly explain any of this? How could she tell her best friend that she'd helped a billionaire cross the street and now he was dying in a hospital and leaving her $500,000? It sounded like something from a movie, not real life. At 9 o'clock, Diana's phone rang. They both jumped. Diana grabbed it, looked at the screen, and her eyes went wide. It's Marcus, she mouthed to Maya before answering. Hello? Yes, this is Diana Johnson. Is he okay? Is William okay? Maya held her breath, watching her mother's face for clues. Diana's expression shifted from fear to confusion to something Maya couldn't quite read. I see. Yes. Yes, of course. Tomorrow morning. Yes, we'll be ready. Thank you for calling. She hung up and turned to Maya with the strangest look on her face. What? Maya demanded. Mom, what did he say? William is stable again. The doctors say he's out of immediate danger for now. But Maya, that's not the strange part. Marcus said that William woke up about an hour ago, and he's asking to see you again. Tomorrow morning. He says he has more to tell you. Something he didn't get to finish today. More to tell me? What else could there possibly be? Diana shook her head slowly. I don't know, baby. But Marcus said William was very insistent, even with the doctors telling him he needs rest. He said it's important, that it can't wait, that you need to know the whole truth. The whole truth about what? That's what we're going to find out tomorrow. That night, Maya barely slept again. She lay in bed, her mind racing with possibilities. What else could William Bradshaw possibly want to tell her? What truth was he talking about? The trust fund and job offer had already been more than she could process. What else could there be? She thought about his test, about how he'd spent 6 months walking around Springfield disguised as an ordinary old man, waiting for someone to show him kindness. She thought about how sad his voice had been when he talked about his late wife Margaret, about how lonely he must have been in that huge penthouse with all his money but no one who cared about him as just a person. And she thought about his words. You need to know the whole truth. What truth? What was he hiding? And why did it feel like everything that had happened so far was just the beginning of something much bigger? Outside her window, the city lights twinkled in the darkness, and somewhere out there, in a hospital room surrounded by machines and monitors, William Bradshaw was awake and waiting to reveal a secret that would change everything once again. The black Mercedes arrived at exactly 8 o'clock Saturday morning. Maya and Diana had been awake since dawn, both too nervous to sleep any longer. They dressed carefully again, Maya in the same blue dress and Diana in a gray pantsuit she usually saved for parent-teacher conferences. Neither of them had eaten much breakfast. The butterflies in Maya's stomach left no room for food. Marcus looked more rested today, less worried than he'd been the day before. Good morning, he greeted them as they climbed into the car. I want to thank you both for coming again, especially after what happened yesterday. I know it must have been frightening. How is he? Diana asked immediately. Much better. The doctors are actually surprised by how well he's responding to treatment. They said it's like he has something to live for now, something driving him to recover. Marcus glanced back at Maya with a small smile. I think we know what that something is. The drive to the hospital felt shorter this time, maybe because Maya knew what to expect. They took the same private elevator to the top floor, walked the same quiet hallways, past the same security guards. But when they reached William's room, Marcus paused before opening the door. Before we go in, I need to prepare you for something. What Mr. Bradshaw is going to tell you today is going to be difficult to hear. It's going to be emotional, and it's going to be surprising. He's asked me to be in the room as a witness, and he's also asked that a lawyer be present to verify everything he says. I need you both to understand that what you're about to learn is completely true, no matter how impossible it might seem. Maya felt her mother's hand tighten around hers. Marcus, you're scaring us. What is this about? It's not my place to say. Mr. Bradshaw needs to tell you himself. But please, try to keep an open mind. And remember that everything he's doing comes from a place of genuine care for Maya and what she represents to him. Marcus opened the door, and they stepped inside. The room looked different today. There were fewer machines, and William was sitting up more, looking stronger than he had yesterday despite the pallor of his skin and the dark circles under his eyes. But he wasn't alone. A woman in a business suit sat in a chair near the window, a briefcase open on her lap. She stood when they entered. Mrs. Johnson, Maya, this is Patricia Chen, my personal attorney, William said, his voice still weak but steadier than before. She's here to document what I'm about to tell you and to verify that I'm of sound mind and making these decisions freely. Patricia nodded professionally. Good morning. Please don't be nervous. I'm just here as an official witness. Mr. Bradshaw wanted to make sure there would be no questions later about the validity of what he's about to reveal. Maya and Diana sat in the chairs Marcus pulled up next to the bed. William looked at Maya for a long moment, his eyes searching her face like he was memorizing every detail. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. Maya, I told you yesterday about my test, about how I spent 6 months walking around Springfield waiting for someone to show me kindness. What I didn't tell you was why I started that test in the first place. It wasn't just about being cynical or losing faith in humanity. It was about something much more personal, much more painful. He paused, taking a sip of water from the cup on his bedside table. My wife Margaret and I were married for 48 years. She was the love of my life, my best friend, the only person who truly understood me. We wanted children desperately, tried for years, but it never happened. The doctor said it was impossible, that we should accept being childless and move on. But Margaret never gave up hope. She always said that maybe we weren't meant to have children of our own, but that didn't mean we couldn't be parents. William's eyes glistened with unshed tears. She wanted to adopt. She begged me for years to consider it, but I was stubborn and foolish. I worried about things that didn't matter, about bloodlines and legacy and all the stupid concerns that wealthy people have about passing on their fortune. I kept saying no, kept putting it off, kept making excuses. And then 2 years ago, Margaret got sick. Cancer. It moved fast. So fast we barely had time to say goodbye. A tear rolled down his weathered cheek. In her final days, lying in a hospital bed much like this one, she made me promise something. She said, William, promise me you won't let our money be our only legacy. Promise me you'll find a way to be the father we never got to be. Promise me you'll invest in a young person who deserves a chance. Someone good and kind who can carry our values into the future. I promised her, even though I didn't know how I would keep that promise. And then she was gone, and I was alone with more money than I could ever spend and no one to share it with. Maya felt tears streaming down her own face now. She understood loss. She'd lost her father when she was only 6 years old. She knew what it felt like to have a hole in your family that could never be filled. That's why I started the test, William continued. I was looking for someone special, someone who embodied the values Margaret and I had cherished. Kindness, compassion, selflessness, integrity. For 6 months I searched, and for 6 months I found nothing but indifference and selfishness. I was starting to think Margaret had been wrong, that people like that didn't exist anymore. And then I met you, Maya. A 14-year-old girl who stopped to help an old man without a second thought, who stayed patient with my slow pace, who talked to me like I mattered. You were exactly what Margaret told me to look for. He reached out a trembling hand, and Maya instinctively took it. His skin was cool and papery, but his grip was surprisingly strong. Maya, the trust fund I established for you isn't just about paying for college. And the job offer for your mother isn't just about recognizing hard work. Those things are important, yes, but they're only the beginning. He took a deep breath, steadying himself for what came next. I want to adopt you, Maya. Legally, officially, I want you to become my daughter. I want to give you my name, my protection, and yes, my fortune. I want to honor my promise to Margaret by investing everything I have in someone who truly deserves it. I want you to be the child we never had. The room went completely silent. Maya felt like all the air had been sucked out of her lungs. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what she just heard. Adopt her? William Bradshaw wanted to adopt her? What? Diana finally managed to say, her voice barely a whisper. You want to adopt my daughter? With your permission, of course, William said quickly, turning to face Diana. I would never try to take Maya away from you. You're her mother, and you've done an incredible job raising her. What I'm proposing is a legal adoption that would give Maya the Bradshaw name and make her my heir, but you would remain her mother in every way that matters. She would still live with you, still be raised by you, still be your daughter first and foremost. I would simply be her legal guardian and father in name, providing for her future and ensuring that she has every opportunity to succeed in life. Diana was shaking her head, tears flowing freely now. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. You can't just adopt someone because they helped you cross a street. You're right, William agreed. If it were just about crossing a street, this would be insane. But it's not about that, Mrs. Johnson. It's about what that action represented. Maya didn't help me because she had to or because she thought she'd get something from it. She helped me because it was the right thing to do. That kind of character is rare and precious, and it's exactly what this world needs more of. By making Maya my heir, I'm not just helping one girl. I'm investing in the kind of person who will use that wealth to help others, to spread kindness, to make the world better. That's what Margaret wanted, and that's what I want too. Patricia Chen spoke up for the first time. Mrs. Johnson, I understand this is overwhelming. What Mr. Bradshaw is proposing is highly unusual, but it's completely legal. The adoption would make Maya his legal daughter and heir to the Bradshaw fortune, which currently sits at approximately $3.2 billion. Upon Mr. Bradshaw's death, Maya would inherit the entire estate, along with control of Bradshaw Industries. However, you would retain full parental rights and custody. Mr. Bradshaw would have visitation rights and decision-making input on major life choices, but you would remain Maya's primary parent and guardian. $3.2 billion. The number was so large Maya couldn't even comprehend it. That wasn't money. That was an entire universe of possibility, of opportunity, of responsibility she had no idea how to handle. I can't, Maya heard herself say. I can't accept this. It's too much. I'm just a regular girl from a regular family. I'm not special enough to be the heir to a billion-dollar fortune. William squeezed her hand gently. That's exactly why you were special enough, Maya. Someone who wanted the money would have already said yes. Someone who was greedy or selfish would have jumped at this opportunity without hesitation. But you're questioning whether you deserve it, worrying whether you're good enough. That humility, that self-awareness, that's what makes you the perfect choice. But what if I mess it up? Maya asked, her voice small and frightened. What if I get all this money and power and I become someone terrible? What if I disappoint you? Then you'll learn from your mistakes and do better, William said simply. Maya, I'm not expecting you to be perfect. I'm not expecting you to suddenly become some wise businesswoman or philanthropist overnight. You're 14 years old. You're allowed to be young, to make mistakes, to figure out who you are. The money will be held in trust until you're 25, managed by people who know what they're doing. Your mother will be there to guide you. Marcus will be there to help you. Patricia and a team of advisors will be there to teach you about business and finance and responsibility. You won't be alone in this. Diana was crying openly now, her face buried in her hands. This is too much. This is just too much. Yesterday we were worried about making rent, and today you're telling us my daughter is going to inherit $3 billion. How is anyone supposed to process that? You don't have to decide right now, William said gently. Take time to think about it. Talk it over together. Consult with your own lawyer if you want. I'm not trying to pressure you or rush you. I just needed you to know the truth, to understand what I'm offering and why. This isn't charity, and it's not some impulsive decision. I've thought about this carefully, discussed it with my lawyers and advisors, made sure every detail is planned out. This is what I want, what Margaret would have wanted, and what I believe is the right thing to do. Marcus stepped forward. Mrs. Johnson, Maya, I've worked for Mr. Bradshaw for 12 years. I've seen him make hundreds of business decisions, watched him handle billions of dollars in transactions. This is the most thought-out, carefully planned decision I've ever seen him make. He's been working on this adoption plan since the day after he met Maya. He's had investigators verify Maya's character, spoken with her teachers, checked with her neighbors. Everything he's learned has only confirmed what he felt that day at the crosswalk. Maya is special, and she deserves this opportunity. You investigated me? Maya asked, feeling suddenly violated. I had to make sure, William said apologetically. Not because I doubted you, but because I needed to verify that what I saw in you was real and consistent. I needed to know that you were kind to everyone, not just to old men at crosswalks. And everything I learned made me more certain. Your teachers say you're the first to help a struggling classmate, that you volunteer to tutor younger students even though you don't get credit for it. Your neighbors say you help Mrs. Peterson carry her groceries every week, that you shovel snow from the sidewalk in winter without being asked. You're exactly who I thought you were, Maya. You're exactly who Margaret told me to find. Maya looked at her mother, seeing her own confusion and fear reflected back at her. This was too big, too overwhelming, too impossible to comprehend. Just 5 days ago, she'd been a normal girl with normal problems, worried about homework and whether they could afford pizza for dinner. Now a billionaire wanted to adopt her and make her one of the richest people in the country. Can we have some time? Diana asked, her voice steadier now. Can we go home and think about this? Really think about it, before we give you an answer? Of course, William said. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere, not anymore. The doctors say I'm going to recover, that I'll be out of this hospital in a few days. And I believe them because I have something to live for now. Whether you say yes or no to the adoption, you've already given me the greatest gift anyone could give. You've restored my faith in humanity, reminded me why Margaret and I spent our lives trying to make the world better. That's worth more than all the money in my bank accounts. Patricia Chun closed her briefcase and stood. I'll leave copies of all the legal documents with Marcus. You can review them at your leisure. Show them to your own attorney if you wish. Everything is legitimate and binding. Mr. Bradshaw has thought of every detail, including provisions for Maya's education, healthcare, security, and future management of the estate. This is a serious offer backed by serious legal and financial planning. As they prepared to leave, William called out to Maya one more time. Maya, regardless of what you decide, I want you to remember something. You changed my life by showing me a simple kindness. That power, the power to change someone's world through a small act of compassion. That's something you'll always have, whether you're rich or poor. Don't ever lose that part of yourself. Promise me. Maya walked back to his bedside and took his hand again. I promise, William. I promise I'll always try to be kind. Always try to help people who need it. That's who my mom raised me to be, and I won't change that no matter what happens. William smiled, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked truly at peace. That's my girl, he whispered. That's my daughter. The words hit Maya like a physical force. My daughter. He'd called her his daughter, and somehow, despite the insanity of everything that had happened, despite the impossible numbers and the overwhelming decisions, those two words felt right. They felt like coming home to a place she hadn't known existed. Marcus drove them back to their apartment in silence. The manila folder now held not just the trust fund papers and job offer, but thick stacks of legal documents outlining the adoption proposal. Diana held it all in her lap, staring out the window at the passing city, lost in thought. When they finally got home, Maya and Diana sat at their small kitchen table, the documents spread out before them like evidence of a dream they weren't sure they'd actually had. They read through page after page of legal language, of clauses and provisions and stipulations, all of it designed to turn a regular 14-year-old girl into the heir of a $3 billion fortune. "What do we do, Mom?" Maya finally asked, her voice small in the quiet apartment. Diana looked at her daughter, really looked at her, seeing not just the girl she'd raised but the young woman she was becoming. "I think," she said slowly, "we do what William suggested. We take our time, we think about it carefully, and we make the decision that's best for you, not the decision that's easiest or most comfortable or most expected. This is your life, Maya. This is your future. We need to figure out what's right. But what do you think?" Maya pressed. "Do you think I should say yes?" Diana was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. "I think that William Bradshaw saw something special in you, something I've known was there your whole life. I think he's offering you opportunities one could never give you on my own, chances to make a real difference in the world. And I think, as terrifying as it is, as impossible as it seems, maybe this is meant to be. Maybe this is the universe's way of rewarding genuine kindness. Maybe good things really do happen to good people." They sat together as the afternoon sunlight streamed through their window, mother and daughter, holding hands across a table covered in documents that promised to change everything. Outside, the city carried on, unaware that one small act of kindness at a busy intersection had set in motion events that would ripple out into the world in ways no one could yet imagine. Maya thought about William lying in his hospital bed, thought about his late wife Margaret who'd made him promise to find someone special, thought about the 6 months he'd spent searching for a reason to keep believing in humanity. And she thought about her own mother, working double shifts for years to give her daughter a better life, teaching her that kindness and compassion mattered more than money or status. Both of them had shaped her into the person she was. Both of them had taught her what truly mattered in life. And now, somehow, impossibly, she had the chance to honor both their lessons by accepting a gift that would let her spread kindness on a scale she'd never imagined possible. "Mom," Maya said quietly, "I think I know what I want to do." Diana squeezed her daughter's hand. "What's that, baby?" Maya took a deep breath, feeling certainty settle into her bones like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I want to say yes. I want to be William's daughter. Not because of the money, but because I think this is what I'm supposed to do. I think this is how I can help the most people, make the biggest difference. And I think maybe this is what Dad would have wanted too. For me to have opportunities he never got to give me." Tears streamed down Diana's face, but she was smiling. "Then we'll say yes. Together. We'll figure this out together, one day at a time." They sat there as the sun set over Springfield, a mother and daughter on the edge of a new life, holding onto each other and the values that had brought them to this impossible, beautiful moment. And somewhere across the city, in a hospital room filled with beeping machines and the steady rhythm of a recovering heart, William Bradshaw slept peacefully for the first time in 2 years, knowing he'd finally kept his promise to Margaret. The story of how a simple act of kindness at a crosswalk changed 2 lives forever was just beginning. But that, as they say, is a tale for another day. Thank you for watching. If you found this story engaging, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective adds value to the conversation. To stay updated with future stories exploring themes of race, inequality, and the unexpected choices that shape lives, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful and thought-provoking content.